Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Welcome back. It's season 3. I'm amped. God bless it, I'm amped. I'm so excited to be here to talk about Riverdale, guys. I got a great panel. My main man is here. Let's talk about Riverdale, season 3, episode 1, Labor Day. Boom. See you in a second.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Boo! Oh man, I'm amped up. I'm amped up.
Amped. Super amped.
I'm here, man. This is exciting stuff. It's season 3. It's Riverdale. We're finally back. It feels like it's been a friggin' eternity. Frank Moran, how you doing, man?
Ben Bateman, it is an honor to be sitting across the table from you breaking down Riverdale.
I didn't know after season 2 if I was ever gonna get the opportunity to be here with you again, and I have to tell you, I'm so thankful. I really feel fortunate to be here. So there's just a lot of stuff to talk about, guys. It's Riverdale and AfterBuzz TV. I am Ben Bateman. This is Frank Moran. We've got a lot to talk about. The episode is titled Labor Day. A lot of fun subjects coming up on the show today. We have the MVP of the show, the scene stealer of the show. We're both going to sound off on that later in the show. Award someone who we think was the absolute best. A little bit of news. I don't know if you guys heard, but Dark Betty is apparently gone, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. But yeah, more than anything, guys, I'm just really excited to be back.
I can totally relate to the characters because it's a struggle of putting things off because they're focusing on other things during the summer, and you know, it was just that anticipation, and I felt like that the whole summer, waiting to get a chance to do the show again with you.
You know, man, I got to tell you, I watch a lot of movies these days. I review almost everything. I don't get to watch as much television as I used to, but this show, this was the one.
There you go. You got to make time for the greats.
I really wanted to come back for this one, so I'm very excited to be here, guys. Yes, so we are back. We're excited. There's a lot to talk about, and I think probably we should just jump straight into things. You know, breaking it down, talking about topic 1, which I think is just that, like, Archie. I want to start at the end, not the beginning. Archie has decided that he's going to put himself away in prison. He's pled guilty. And that's what we kick off with. So as TV is structured, you know, you have your important characters. You have to put them in harm's way so you can try to get them out of harm's way. That's what makes TV interesting. Do you think this is a good choice for them with the kickoff episode?
My feeling with this is very similar to season 2, where Archie, he just makes the stupidest decisions for whatever reason.
Yeah, he does.
And then it ends up just... We'll see. Last season, I felt wasn't very successful. So I'm hoping this season, even though Archie has a bad decision that kind of spins things out of control, hopefully it'll turn out to be better.
Yeah, my feeling with this decision is that, you know, it's reminiscent of the storytelling when you had FP go to prison or, you know, Fred take a bullet. My problem with this one specifically is that the stakes don't really feel as high as they're trying to make them out to be. There's no chance that Archie is going to stay in prison for 2 seasons.
No.
So, you know this. And that right there makes it a little harder to get on board with how melodramatic a lot of the moments in this episode were.
I mean, to be honest, I mean he's you know the one of the core 4.
Yeah.
Over under mid-season finale, he's out of juvie.
I think that's probably the breaking point. I think second half he's probably out.
I would think so.
Yeah. And we're back to 22 again this season. So.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we've got a strong 11 that Archie's not in prison.
But I'm also not looking forward to 11 of episodes of him in prison. I don't know.
Over under. How many shirtless prison yard pumping iron scenes are we gonna get?
Oh man, that is. I'm gonna put a heavy over 6.
They leaned into shirtless Archie this episode. I got to tell you, we've joked about this a lot, guys. Obviously, KJ App is a handsome guy, he's very fit, but they have gone in and out of scenes in which Archie has been shirtless. And this episode, they really decided to give us the smorgasbord. They just gave it to us on a platter.
Yes.
All varieties.
You get him in the jalopy, which I think was my favorite. Even though we didn't get to see the abs, we do get to see him in the jalopy driving it shirtless, which I was like, bravo.
You got morning, you got night, you got sweaty, you got dry. There's just a lot. There you go. Yeah, Jeff Graham up in the booth. How you doing, Jeff?
Guys, I am having a blast. Loving your energy, loving some abs on KJ App.
He's
KJ Abza.
jacked out of his mind, right?
They call him KJ Abza. That's what they should do.
Yeah. That's that right there is like that's like a porn star body. He looks like that almost in the show, but not quite as just. That's almost like egregious. I feel like that's like offensively jacked.
Too much.
Well, I mean, but you feel like this one, he's really just flexing those muscles, keeping them tight, showing off that core.
He's obviously dehydrated here for a couple days.
So I feel like when shooting started, he was a little bit more relaxed. He's sitting up by the pool.
He carbo loaded and then he went with full dehydration so he could really strip it down.
right.
but nice and gorged muscles there. Anyway, guys, so getting back to the task at hand here, which is reviewing the episode. So yeah, I think that's it's an interesting decision to, and I think some of the stuff leading up to this was suggesting Archie, is he guilty or not? He has this tendency as a character in this show, and you alluded to it a second ago that he makes these dumb decisions. It's almost like you just at some point want Archie to be a character you can root for, but you have a really hard time rooting for this guy. He just does dumb things, and he says things that you're just like, man, it was called Archie Comics. What happened?
Yeah. If you would just take a second there, I mean, the judge says, hey, guess what? You can listen to not only your mom, but your lawyer. Don't just blurt up and rise up out of your chair and say, yep, I'm guilty. I'll take that deal. Take a minute to think about it. Don't be so rash.
So
but he doesn't.
Here's the question for you, Frank. Why? Why do you do it?
Well, I mean, he does that scene with Veronica that he feels like he's guilty for a lot of the stuff that happened last season because he was with Hiram for a lot of the season, doing a lot of stuff, putting a lot of balls in motion. And, I mean, he could have perhaps prevented that thug Cassidy from getting killed by Andre. I don't know if I necessarily... I think he's making his guilt much more greater than it needs to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just because you're a junior in high school and you're just going to feel like the world revolves around you a little bit.
Right.
So he's going to take that on. So he's going to put the weight on his shoulders and I guess take all the responsibility.
They do a good job of avoiding pointing out exactly how old these characters are.
Yes.
Very often.
Junior year.
Yeah, exactly. There was a moment earlier. It was like, oh, we're finishing our sophomore year. We're going into junior year of high school. We're 15. And you're like... Now I'm almost guilty talking about how jacked you are. That's like, it's just weird. I don't know. But anyway, so I think my answer to that question of why, I don't know, man. I think I hear, what he said to Veronica. You're right. But I think like, maybe it's because he thinks there's no chance he can win. Maybe because he thinks that's the only way he's going to have a even semi-normal childhood. But here's the other question. Okay, there's a mistrial. Like, great, mistrial, we're going to offer you 2 years for murdering someone. What?
Yeah, in juvenile detention. So
doesn't make any sense. There's no way. Like, the fact that they even offered that is like, you clearly don't think I'm guilty, because otherwise you would just not offer me anything. You'd go back for a trial because you think I'm a murderer. Murderers shouldn't go to jail for 2 years. That's not what happens.
Yeah.
Right?
No. I mean, I feel like certainly with juvenile detention, I mean, I guess the stakes can be a little bit lower, I suppose, and the records can be sealed. So presumably, in terms of long-term lasting effects for Archie, it may not be that detrimental. But again, we do get to see what I did like best about that is that it gives us a nice Fred, FP, and Sheriff Keller kind of team up where they all seem to kind of be aligned, saying we're going to prove that this is a frame job.
Yeah. So, guys, we are going to continue talking about all of the happenings in this episode. But before we do, I want to remind everybody here that we at AfterBuzz TV, we do after shows for all, not just Riverdale, not Game of Thrones and Walking Dead, but literally all of your favorite TV shows, drama, reality TV, everything you would want. So please subscribe to one or more of the YouTube channels. Last year, we decided to give you guys very targeted, specific YouTube channels that had you drama, your superheroes, your reality. And so you can subscribe to one or more if you want to get notifications about exactly what you're looking for. You can also turn off notifications if you don't want to see them. Please hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check back to the AfterBuzz TV, all of our YouTube channels. That's what keeps us going, keeps the lights on here. We will never charge for content. So just let us know what you think in the comments. Stay attuned to what we're doing here. And thank you so much for helping us be the ESPN of TV Talk. It means a lot. And it gives me the opportunity to come back here and hang with my boy Frank Moran talking about my favorite show on TV. So.
Well, as we're getting ready to kind of move on past the Archie stuff, I will ask, because you are a man that wears a suit.
Yeah.
It looks amazing in it.
Oh, yeah. I know where you're going with this.
There you go.
Yeah.
What did you think of Archie with the bow tie?
It was an interesting choice. There's a time and a place for a bow tie. My man, president of Black Hollywood Live, Daryl Christian, he knows all about this. I've learned a thing or two about bow ties from D. I don't know why they chose to give Archie the Oxford collar, the almost like it looked like a flannel wool to flannel suit with like a bow tie. It was like very like fashion forward, but also like maybe all he had kind of a deal. Like right, like maybe they were trying to be like, okay, he just he has this bow tie because Fred probably wore it at prom, and maybe that's kind of the thing. But it's also just like it was very specific. I don't know. A bow tie in court when you're up for murder?
It seemed a little, I felt like weird to me. I felt like this is really just, I want a traditional tie. I feel like that's what we need.
Little too fun loving.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then he's not wearing anything in the jalopy, so we got all flavors of it.
We went to the total extremes on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that necessarily because at first at the wide shot where you don't
Yeah.
get a close up look of it, but it looks like almost like a tux. I'm like,
Oh yeah, right at the beginning.
yeah, he's wearing a tux at court. I don't know if that's really the appropriate choice.
Let's go to our third panelist here. Hey Jeff Graham, what do you think? In what situation is wearing a bow tie when you're on trial for murder appropriate?
I would say if you are the star of a teen-driven comic book adaptation, it's probably one of the few.
Strong. It's a strong
In
answer.
this case, he nailed it.
Yeah, he looks great. I'm not gonna argue that.
I also don't know. I mean, the two things that really kind of piqued my interest there is why they decided to kind of treat it like a Southern courtroom, where the fans are blowing and it is so hot and sweltering inside there. And then two, I don't know necessarily the reason why we had to like. The judge says, I'm going to put the jury in sequester for the weekend.
Yeah.
Why isn't it that the jury's just deliberating and it's just going to take a while and then we find out in 4 days? I don't know whether they had that unnecessary piece of drama. We could have just been, they're deliberating and we're going to find out after Labor Day.
I've watched a lot of courtroom dramas. It's one of my favorite genres. In fact, you and I are big movie fans. We both watch a lot of older films. I'll tell you, like, what's the genre of movie for you that when you're like, I'm going to turn something on that I know probably won't be good, but I feel like watching a movie and I don't want to challenge myself? What's the genre you watch?
I will watch just a nice dumb action movie.
Okay, like action, like Fast and the Furious, Expendables, The Rock, Con Air, something like that.
Go like something old school, like a nice 80s one, like an Action Jackson or something like that.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
For me, I watch trashy thrillers. And endlessly. I will watch Kiss the Girls, Along Came a Spider, Perfect Murder, Identity, like whatever it is that's on Netflix and is free and I haven't seen. And it's like, a lawyer frames his wife for murder. And you're like, oh, yes, this is going to be great. So, like, recently I watched, like, The Rainmaker and Civil Action, both terrible. Kind of the same movie in a lot of ways. But watching this courtroom scene reminded me of just, like, the sheer number of stupid courtroom dramas I've watched. And I was like, yeah, there you go. Exactly. Exactly. The entire genre of television has been formed from it. But despite watching all of those, I forgot that juries have an even number of jurors. That you can just do that. You can have an even number. Like 6
12
versus
Angry
6.
Men.
Right. I don't know. Like I don't see that plot line that often anymore. So I forgot.
And let's not forget the biggest shout out, Penelope Ann Miller.
Yes.
Rocking it there as for the prosecution.
Absolutely terrific. Going against Molly Ringwald.
Yes. I thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah, it's great. It was nice to see Molly Ringwald having a little more of a decisive role.
But it's also, she's a character that I'm always intrigued by, and I always feel like I want to see more of her in Riverdale. And it's always these little pop in, I'll help out for an episode or two, and then I got to go back to Chicago.
Yeah.
Got to head back.
She doesn't have a lot of, clearly she's not available.
No.
Yeah.
But I guess not. She's got a lot of going on in her life.
She's filming 17 Candles and other things like that.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. But getting back to the show, so we've covered Archie's fashion and his courtroom appearance. I do want to talk a little bit about the Serpents. The Serpents kind of feel like they have now come to encompass all of Riverdale. All of our favorite characters are just serpents now.
That's true.
Right? You have Cheryl is basically a serpent now, and Betty is a serpent now. Archie became a serpent in this episode. He got tatted.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess the idea. I mean, I suppose even in juvenile detention, the serpent tattoo is gonna serve you well. But I guess that was a smart move. Get tatted up. But
it's another shirtless op for Archie.
That's true. But what if the jury says like, "Oh, Archie, we find you innocent, not guilty," and then now he's got this. He's like, "Oh man, I got this serpent tattoo on me."
He's like, "Can you turn this into something?" What if we made like a reverse Superman? Can we do that?
I just need a good cover up. What's going on?
Yeah, something. So, whatever. So we have all these serpents. We have this plot line. They find out that Hot Dog was taken by the Ghoulies. Penny Peabody, right? The lawyer. She's still in play. And they started another gang war, basically. And now the North Side is open game, what have you. There's something fun about the Serpents that I really liked in seasons 1 and 2 that I think is like a little lost now. It doesn't quite, like, they continue to try to sell it. There's serpents over the border, things like this. And it's like, it just, like, the fact that, like, Cheryl is a serpent is, like, that's absurd. Like, there's just no part of, and Betty, too. There's no part of me that's like, this is still a cool gang. Like, no way. Come on.
Well, no, because she refers to herself as a serpent queen, and everybody seems to be cool with that. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, it kind of lost me a little bit. Yeah, not quite as hardcore as I would have liked.
Yeah, but if you're looking for hardcore, I mean, Cheryl does wield that bow and arrow like a pro.
That was sweet.
So
I like that the matchup in that scene was like straight up like medieval weapons.
Yes,
there was like a bow and arrow, She never misses. She's a perfect shot.
The one guy holding like the giant like hook.
Yeah, right. That's what I was saying. I saw the hook.
Yes.
I was like, what is that thing?
I know. It's like,
Did you fashion that at home? Is it made of duct tape? Like, how'd you make it?
This is
Where'd
gonna
you
be awesome.
buy it?
Yeah, I don't know where you'd find one of these things these days.
Yeah, like Riverdale's medieval times shop. Medieval weapons in Sweetwater. Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. It was like a very like clear like style point, the weapons they were using.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you feel like you need to keep the serpents in play because you also need something for Jughead to do. Jughead solves whatever is the mystery of the season, but he also needs some day-to-day business, and that seems like you need to have serpent-generated stories to give him something else to do.
Yeah, so speaking of serpent-generated stories and Jughead, you have this weird Dilton thing, right? Dilton Doilet, you have this thing, and so they go into the diner. Dilton and I think a character named Ben, I think is what he said, right?
I think so.
Blonde kid.
Yeah.
They're playing like a tabletop game, and he's like, don't tell him what's going on. I was like, okay, weird. And some of you guys know this, but I am a fairly established pro in the Magic the Gathering community.
Not just fairly established. Come on.
I also run a toy company, and we have a tabletop game that is just funded on Kickstarter called Battle Bosses. It's awesome.
Look at that.
So tabletop, figurines, all that. I like saw this. I was like, oh great, this is my world. And then it turns out that it's just True Detective. It took such a left turn at the end of the episode. Are you a Trudy fan?
It's one of those. It's like it is on the pile of shows that I need to watch.
You've never watched it.
Yeah, whenever I have the time.
Oh, that's why you didn't react the way.
Yeah.
I did. Jeff, you've watched True Detective season 1, right?
Yeah, it's been a minute, but I loved it.
It's one of the only shows ever that I watched 4 times. That just the first season. It's like the best thing I've ever seen.
You'll get something new each time too, because it's so deep.
Yeah.
It's the most rewatchable show ever because the writing is just so dense.
It's perfect. And McConaughey is at that point, and I promise you guys, I'll get back to subject here because there's a direct reference to this show, which is what I'm talking about. McConaughey in that show is like Dallas Buyers Club skinny because he had just filmed it or he was about to film it. So he weighs like 140 pounds. So true story, last Friday, McConaughey's on my flight home from Dallas. And I get on the plane, he's in first class with this kid, and I look at him and he's got sunglasses on, he's got a hat, he's on his phone. And I hear him talking, and he's like, in True D, which is the thing I've watched the most, he's like tiny, but now he's jacked again. He's McConaughey, like he's very, very jacked. He's large arms. And I walk on, I see him talking, and he's like, yeah, I heard what you had to say. He's like, oh yeah, it's fantastic. I'd love to hang out there. And I heard his voice, and I was like, I just want to hang out with you, man. It's like, oh my God. I was looking at him, I was like, please put me in first. This guy's my spirit animal. But anyway, that show is the best thing ever, and this episode references it very specifically. Like, at first, when he says the Gargoyle King, I was like, okay, the Gargoyle King. There's a character in True Detective called the Yellow King. So I was like, okay, I wrote down a note, right? And then it shows the image of the, like, sticks-made monster, and there's a huge thing of these, like, stick things in True Detective. And then the map that's provided left at Jughead's house with Dilton, he sees it and he goes to the site, and there's all of these people with like signs on their back, another True Detective thing, different shape, in the position that they find the initial dead girl in the first episode of True D. That's the position they're all in. And there's horns on the tree, which is like, it's literally a direct reference. And we know this show has done that. This show likes to do that. Every episode it'll take like a property that's popular and it'll reference back to it. But I was like, wow, this is Riverdale going real dark. Real dark.
Well, I mean, when you find Dilton and the other guy, kind of cradled over with markings carved into their back, and it looks like by all appearances Dilton's dead, especially from the little peek we get for next week too. So,
totally.
Dilton, a prominent character. Well, a nice kind of reoccurring character. Like a semi-regular in the comics universe, but now just kind of never really used for much in the Riverdale universe.
Right.
So, and now he's taken off the canvas.
It was an interesting move. So. Jeff, have you watched Riverdale at all, or you're just engineering? You don't know the show?
No, I know very little about this show.
But you know the vibe of it. You know the network and
dark noir-y, right? It's kind of like a noir.
You would agree though that it's a little strange to weave in True Detective level darkness to this show, right?
I would guess that the target demo is different between True Detective and Riverdale.
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, you know about True D.
Yeah. I mean, but also, I mean, the way that the series has been going, I feel like if this is what the network feels what's working in terms of like the tone from season 1 to season 2, you've kind of escalated up at least a bit from the previous seasons to keep people engaged?
Well, because it's a little bit occult. And speaking of which, we'll get to it in just a second, the stuff with Betty that I think is really interesting. But I do want to remind everybody here that we are on iTunes. You may be hearing this, you may be watching this. If you're hearing it, it's probably on iTunes as a download. AfterBuzz TV was founded as an audio network originally. That's what we did. We started as an audio podcast network long before we introduced video. So if you're hearing this on audio, guys, please give us a 5-star rating, give us a review. Even if it's a 4-star rating, that's cool too. But whatever you want to do, just let us know that you're enjoying it. Leave a comment. We'll share your reviews. If you leave one in the comments, Frank and I and Sam will read it next week. We'll share your thoughts. We'd love to converse with you. So please do that for us to let us know you're listening. And also, as I mentioned, keep the lights on. So,
Yeah, and just say how handsome you think Ben is.
Frank, you're too kind.
Don't
Flattery
speak the
will
truth.
get you everywhere. So, talking about the occult, this weird scene that happens at the end. It starts out with Betty talking to Polly and her mom about, she's basically got PTSD after finding out that Hal was the Black Hood. And Polly and her mom, they kind of just seem like they're Scientologists, the way the show is setting it up.
Definitely feel like you're being kind of like indoctrinated to something that's happening to them at the farm.
The vibe that they're going
Yes.
for feels like that's what it is, right? Like, I know very little about Scientology. A lot of people know that Tom Cruise is like my favorite guy ever, so I try to stay away from researching it because I feel like it'll poison how much I love the guy. But like the way that Scientology is sold in the documentary, that's what it feels like they're selling here. And it's like a play on it, and it's like, oh, Dr. Such and Such says that you're holding on to bad things. Let's be positive and good and burn your negative memories. And Betty's like, you're insane. But then Betty's forging prescriptions to get Adderall, so she's a drug addict? Who's in the wrong here, Frank?
Yeah, she does explain that. She spent the summer kind of focusing on Archie's trial and helping out Archie's mom and Josie's mom, trying to put on his defense. So she didn't have a lot of energy to really she put everything kind of in a box. And even she has that scene with Jughead and says, I'm worried that once we get the verdict from Archie, whichever way it goes, it's going to at least be done. And then everything that I've been putting off dealing with, I now have to worry about it and start trying to kind of wrestle, and I don't know if I can do it. So I can see why she's looking at least just some way to kind of dull everything else so she could just focus on one particular task at hand, which she kind of just threw herself into Archie's defense.
Right. She's popping pills and staying up late and helping to try to take care of it. Yeah, I wonder, we're in season 3 now, so the show probably best case scenario runs for how many seasons, you think? 8?
I could see it. Yeah, if it keeps going like this, yeah, I think 8 at least.
22 episodes. There's very, very few shows that I can think of in CW, Fox, the big major cable networks that run longer than about 6, 7, 8. But you don't like the what is it? Supernatural ran like 11, right?
It's still going strong. It's in season 13.
Yeah, 13. So it's rare that you get that. That's not common. Vampire Diaries went like what, 11, something like that.
Yeah, Smallville went 10.
Yeah, 10. So if you get to that point, you've like really crushed it. But generally speaking, that 6, 7 range is what you can expect. So you've got to explore every relationship at some point. And so I watch Betty and the way that she throws herself into Archie's into his case, and that I think that Betty and Archie will eventually end up together. Yeah. I don't believe that the Betty Jughead thing, Bughead, is the ultimate plan. And I wonder how this is going to affect that. Archie going away, her sort of detaching from her family, all of it. I just wonder, like, is this going to start to push us towards that direction? Like, she'll form that relationship with Archie as she tries to get him out of jail.
I don't think so, because when we see that nice, really tender moment between her and Jughead saying, yeah, we're partners in everything. And they have that little tender moment towards the end of the episode. And, I feel like maybe seeing if it was going to be sort of like kind of a round robin of character relationships with our core 4 throughout the series, especially in season 1, where we're kind of like, oh yeah, they're probably going to do a bunch of different kind of combinations, whatnot. But now that we've gone 2 seasons, and we pretty much locked in that it's Betty and Jughead and Archie and Veronica, I don't really feel any big like, oh man, they really got to switch it up. Are they going to switch it up? If they say they never switched it up, I'd be fine with it.
You don't even think this is gonna be like like a Rachel and Joey moment? Like you're gonna have like that quick switch up?
I think you saw how well that was treated on Friends. I don't know if they want to repeat a bad thing.
Okay, yeah, they didn't like that, right?
I feel like the biggest the challenge will be when they do graduate. So you're talking season 4, they finish their senior year, going on to season 5. Always an interesting thing when everybody should be going to colleges.
Sure.
And more often than not everybody's choosing the same university. So how do you kind of maintain those relationships?
Right.
Do you come up with some convenient excuse to have them all, we're all going to the same university together so we can kind of maintain our kind of close-knit status quo?
Right.
Or do they kind of like scatter everybody else? And then that's when I think you'd start to see really big changes in potential relationships.
Or is it like a regression to the mean situation where, Julie comes back and she's still with Saracen and Tyra comes back and she's still with Riggins and like, nothing changes after high school because you want to stay the same. That's a Friday Night Lights reference there, guys.
FNL, man.
Yeah, it's my favorite show ever. So getting back to this though, Betty, this thing, she's got this weird relationship with Polly and her mom. At the end of the episode, she has a seizure after I don't know what it is, but she starts convulsing and she sees babies being held over the flame and like raised into the air, like some occult vision. Now, are they trying to signify like a drug overdose? What's going on?
I don't know. I mean, whether I guess I really don't know the effects of if you've taken too much Adderall.
Me neither.
What happens to you?
Hyped up.
If that's what they're trying to describe it as. So I don't know if that includes hallucinations, potential seizures, things like that.
Right.
Or is there some truth to what's being going on in this? Because, one time Sabrina was going to be groomed as a CW series before it went to Netflix. So if that was the case, then I guess you could start introducing supernatural elements into Riverdale. And this might be, whether they ever cross over or not, this could be a way of at least trying to, kind of up the quotient of the supernatural into Riverdale.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned while we were watching the episode, the film Hereditary, which I loved, and it was really, really weird and incredibly scary. Hereditary, True Detective, these feelings of sort of like, the babies being raised and praying over the fire, like that felt kind of hereditary-ish.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't want the show to go that far down the road. I don't like. I'm okay with the show like touching it. I don't want the show to get like weird and dark and twisted and like creepy. That's not really why I watch it.
True, but then if you look at the success of like the various the Blumhouse films, the Conjuring universe.
Oh yeah,
they're doing great in the box office. So there is a desire for those types of that type of product.
Yeah,
Your Paranormal Activity.
We've got this showing on the screen right now. There's a weird. The babies are being levitated like. Looking at them, and you're like, okay, there's these. Because you had twins, right? That was the deal, Polly. Yeah, Polly Cooper.
So if you see this, I could understand them tapping into this. Like, all right, let's tap into some of this this kind of supernatural, kind of occult type stuff that seems doing well at the box office, and to kind of bring this into Riverdale.
What's your prediction? Did it really happen? Is it going to be the thing where she claims she saw it, but no one admits it happened? Like, what happened?
I feel like everybody's going to admit it didn't happen to her.
Yeah.
I would like for it to be real because, why? If you're going to introduce something like that, let's just go full hog into it. Let's introduce the supernatural.
You want Tiara and Machen to be just like, yes, the babies were levitating.
Yes.
That's the family you're in, Betty. Get on board.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. We got nothing to lose.
Yeah, that's right. You may as well introduce all this stuff, but then that also then makes me think like, what's season 4 like?
Yeah.
If you start doing that in this season.
Oh, sure. So moving over to the other side of the female leads in the show, you have a couple different things going on here. You got a little bit of Cheryl stuff with Tony, but not a lot. They went on the road over the summer on a motorcycle trip. They've leaned into that relationship, which I'm happy about. I think that's great.
What I do like is we didn't see a lot of Cheryl this episode, but what we saw of her, I liked. She kind of dialed down the bitchiness that we've seen in her in previous seasons.
Yeah.
Where I was like, this is, and she might not always be like, super close, and she still can be snarky when she needs to be.
Right.
But I felt like this seems like a more well-rounded human being. And maybe it's just having a great relationship with Tony that's kind of making her more normal. But I liked it.
She had her scenes where she was, talking with Tony about wanting to be able to help Archie and not being able to, which was sweet.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice, and I couldn't quite decide, and this happens sometimes in TV, right? Like, so she first shows up and she's in that like the jean shorts, the high-waisted jean shorts, the jacket, and like the whatever, it's a bra or a swimsuit top or something, right? Mm-hmm. And then later you see her and she's by the pool, and I felt like in all the scenes she showed up in, she looks about as skinny as she always has, but she also looks curvier at the same time. Did you notice this? I was like, I couldn't decide if I thought that they were intentionally trying to make her look more like voluptuous, sort of like, I don't even know what the word would be. Like sexy? Yeah, okay, there you go. She walks in, like, maybe it was just the outfits or something, but I was trying to figure out if I thought that was intentional, like if there was a look they were going for. Because she's historically like very, very skinny, high school skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a woman that's found a loving relationship to finally be
Maybe,
in.
right?
Yeah, and is just feeling free to just be more herself, and if she wants to dress like this, and just like I feel more comfortable like this.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought that was interesting. I'm gonna obviously we watched the episode. We come straight in here. Like I want to look at Twitter and sort of see if this is something else that anybody else noticed or just me. But so that's one of the relationships. You also have I saw on Twitter. I saw the Chris Farley Schmitz gay. That's one of my this commercial?
Double whoa.
Yeah.
Double whoa.
It's one of my favorite things ever. Yeah. If you've never seen this commercial, look
If
it
you
up.
like beer and you're gay.
Chris Farley Schmitz gay. That's the best thing ever. So that's one of the relationships. He also had a quick moment with Keven talking to Moose, and he's like, "Hey, you ever seen American Pie? Let's have sex."
Yep. Set up our our virginity kind of agreement, and let's not wait till the end of the school year. Let's make it Halloween.
I wanted him to be like, what I was waiting for is be like, let's make a pact before Halloween, something similar, and Moose be like, it's October 30th. Like I know, like that's like what I was waiting for. I was like, nah, it's not that kind of show.
That's right. That's right.
So I think you see those two relationships. You see Tony and Cheryl. You see, I don't know if you call it a relationship, but Moose and Keven. That's the thing that's happening. And then on the other end of the female leads, oh, you know what? And one more. We had a moment with what's his name, Sweet Pea and
Josie.
Josie, right?
Yeah, they had a little summer fling.
Is that something that I just forgot happened at the end of last year?
No,
that was brand new.
You have your summer flings. I mean, they really did. I mean, maybe exchanged some glances in previous, last season, but I mean, the official like, hey, we're having a summer fling introduced in this episode. Which, it's great. Why not? People have those summer flings.
Big time. So, okay, I do want to talk a little bit about Veronica because she has big moments in the episode. She's all in on trying to save Archie, right? So she tries to obstruct justice and go and sneak in and talk to the jury. She gets caught. She has moments with her dad. At the end, she swears she's not his daughter. She's pissed. Her boyfriend's going to prison. She knows her dad's responsible. She got a great moment with her mom. A lot happened with Veronica.
She's working at the chocolate shop starting the beginning of the episode, very similar to her mom at the beginning of the series.
This is a big Veronica episode.
Yeah.
A lot of things happen.
It's because certainly she was very angry with her father last season too, as it got towards the tail end of that. How serious do you feel Veronica will take this in terms of you don't have a daughter anymore? She going to stick to it until Archie's free?
Very seriously, Hiram will relent because he's a strategist. He'll find a way to show her that he cares. But they've definitely, this is a little bit of a weird inconsistency. Tell me if you noticed this. Remember last season when you find out that Hermione is like kind of the godmother? They have the moment where Archie goes out and he sees her and he's like, oh, you're running the show? And then in this episode, Veronica has the moment and the mom's like, I'm a prisoner, but I'm not a puppet. Mm-hmm. What the hell?
It definitely felt like the Hermione I saw in that scene, very different than the Hermione that I thought we were ever going to get in that scene that you were mentioning earlier from last season.
Do you think she's maybe playing Veronica? Like she's playing her? Because it feels like that's what I would have to believe based on what I've seen.
I don't know. Or it just could be that the writers shifted plans, and so that they decided not to go in one direction that they were deciding to.
Yeah.
Because I don't think at this point Hermione's going to be hiding anything from Veronica, but it also, I don't know. I feel like the potential strength that I saw in Hermione from that scene from last season, I'm like, well, I want to see Hermione doing something more than just kind of tacitly sitting by Hiram while he does all this kind of creepy maniacal stuff.
I'm with you.
But he does get clobbered by Fred, which I was like, all right.
It's a nice moment.
Yeah.
Nice wind up there. You see Luke Perry.
Yes.
Yeah. No real retaliation. I mean, like, it was a little bit of a predictable moment when Hiram's like, Archie, enjoy your summer. Of course. Look at my arm vein.
Now, did you think that Hiram setting up Archie for this murder, was it to pay back Archie, or as we found out at the end of the episode, that it was to punish Veronica? Were you surprised by that?
That he says that
to
Veronica to punish you? Yeah, a little bit. I felt like to this point that Hiram, I didn't feel like Hiram was a straight up villain. I felt like he was like like a lovable villain, and that moment makes you feel like he's a bad dude. He's a straight up bad guy. Like he gets hit by a bus, and you're like, applause.
Yeah, it's because there were some episodes last season too where however much of at least in the context of those scenes, it seemed kind of genuine. His concern about Archie making some of the choices that he made.
Right.
It's like, all right, Hiram is kind of he does have some redeeming value, and then you see scenes like this, and you're like, ugh, I don't think so.
Okay, guys, coming up here, we're going to get into one of the teased segments, which is going to be the MVP of the show, the scene stealer, if you will, who we think stole the scene in the episode. And I'm going to jump in first. I'm going to say, look, maybe this is predictable, and I like the show, but I got to say, the scene where Archie and Reggie are playing football. No, I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
that was great. That would have ranked up top for me.
Yeah, no. Frank and I are going to reenact that scene.
Yeah, there you go.
No. I think for me, it's my scene stealer is Veronica with Hiram at the end. You don't have a daughter. I like Veronica. I like that she threw the kitchen sink in this episode. I thought she did a great job. I like the stance she's taking. She wants to literally obstruct justice. She's like, I'm gonna be the girl in the drama movie where you wrongfully go to prison who takes the bus to every day, and like, when I find out that you had a mistress, I'm gonna be Karen from Goodfellas, and I'm gonna start like throwing bread at you.
I want to see next episode what Veronica's deal is, because if she's saying that, she clearly means that she's not living there anymore. So where's Veronica living? She's got the chocolate shop, so she's got a job.
Obviously, she's gonna go live with Fred. She's gonna live in Archie's room.
There you go, just sleeping on his pillow. Just smelling him, laying in his clothes.
Pretty much.
That's right. There you go.
And then Fred will have an affair, and the show gets really dark. No, not good. Not good. Stay away from that.
Yeah.
Who stole a scene for you?
I'm gonna just go. Anytime you have somebody shooting a bow and arrow, you're gonna get my vote.
That was a killer scene.
Yeah.
So again, was that I feel like the end of the last season, I'm like trying to place things that I missed. Did they at some point show us that Cheryl was like an excellent shot?
Yeah, she came out last season there when Jughead was going to get his butt beat down.
Right, and she shoots. Okay, now I remember it. Right?
Yeah,
and that's when he beat an inch of his life. That whole scene.
Yeah, Cheryl came in with that bow and arrow, man. So she's a crack shot.
Yeah. Killer, because she was obviously raised archery, the whole thing.
Yeah, and see, she kept that thing cocked all the way as the truck pulled away.
Do you know how much strength it takes to hold a bow cocked for that long? For like a 5-minute conversation?
Yep.
Right?
No shaking, no nothing. That was it.
I kind of would have rather that like Jughead was like, loose! Like, yeah, right?
I thought that there was a weird edit, though, because it goes from that scene where Cheryl's standing on the top of the truck as they're getting ready to pull away. Then it immediately cuts to Archie's dream. But it's like the two guys running through the forest, and he's like, hey, wait up.
It was like a dark setting, and you were like, is there somebody chasing someone?
Yeah. Is there somebody trying to run to catch up to the truck?
I mean, that was obviously, from an editing and stylistic standpoint, to just blend the scenes without a hard cut, but it was confusing. I agree. It didn't make a lot of sense. So, okay, so you say Cheryl with the bow. That's your winner for MVP?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to say Veronica. You don't have a daughter.
All right. I mean, and I want Cheryl to basically clear that bow and arrow in every single scene she's in from now on.
Yeah, right.
That's
it. Like Nick Cage and the Weatherman. The rest of the movie, he just carries a bow on his back.
Yep.
You ever see that movie? You like that movie?
It's all right.
I love that movie.
Do you?
It's one of my all-time favorites.
I mean, but in terms of Nick Cage films, is it really?
Oh, that's like, for me, like that's like a cult classic Nick Cage film. He's great. I love his voiceover. It's incredible. Okay, so that's MVP. I do want to talk quickly about the piece of news that broke this week. In an interview, Betty... in an interview this week, Lily Reinhart went on record as saying that Dark Betty is gone. Dark Betty is no longer going to be a plot line, a storyline. What do you think about that?
I never really got into the Dark Betty storyline.
Neither did I. I'm thrilled about this. I thought Dark Betty was terrible, so I hate the wig. I never liked it. I'm happy to see it gone.
Yeah, it never. If it would have led to something spectacular, and anytime I think like Dark Betty, I'm going to be thinking of old school, CW, UPN shows, Buffy, something like Dark Willow, where somebody just turns completely evil.
Right.
But you never really get that. You see her kind of exploring a couple, dabbles in some kind of weird, kind of kinkier stuff.
Right.
You never went full on Dark Betty, so it's like I don't care.
She like messed with Chuck once.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was
She like did webcam stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, all right.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, I'm with you. So we're in agreement then. The Dark Betty being gone is a good thing.
Yeah. And because because they even mentioned chick when Alice mentions about like the chicks thing from last year.
Right.
Like, that is the thing that took up a lot of last season was that chick for very little payoff.
So season 1 compared to season 2, looking back now in retrospect.
Season 1 I enjoyed much more, and I think we've talked about that too, even last season too, is that 13 episodes, or their shorter season order, made for a tighter narrative, and I felt like a much more compelling story and a series to watch. 22 episodes, I felt like it spiraled out of control for them, and they made some choices where they even admitted they did not know who the killer was.
That was brutal when we found that one out. That's one of those ones that don't ever admit that. Like, yeah, I remember like years ago when I was tangent again. Sorry, I'm bad at these. When I was like 15, 16, I was in this band. We were getting kind of successful in the Northwest. We were like touring a little bit, and this photographer we shot with was a big fan, and he was like, what's this song about? And I was like, we have no idea. I was like, we like the way the words sound, and they work with the melodies we wrote, and they rhyme, and like, this is kind of weird, but we thought this was kind of cool, so we just went with it. And afterwards, my bandmate was like, don't ever tell people that. What is the matter with you?
Yeah.
Don't tell people that. Like, yeah. And I was like, why? And he's like, it's because it makes us seem like idiots. Don't tell people that.
Nobody wants to know that you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, and so I felt like making Hal the Black Hood. I just never felt like the dots lined up for me satisfactorily. So I felt like season 2 was a step down for me. So I'm hoping season 3 will kick it off in a good fashion.
Fair. Okay, I'm in agreement. I think season 1 was much better. So, but I like this episode. On the whole, I thought this episode was fun. I'm happy it's back. I can't wait to be back with a full panel. But it was nice to get a little bro time.
Yeah, bro time.
So if you guys want to follow me and my bro Frank, where can they follow you, Frank?
Folks, you can follow me on all social media at HappyGoJackie.
Excellent. You guys can find me at Ben Bateman Media. That's where you can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, things of that nature. I'll be back here next week. I also have a show on the Popcorn Talk Network on Thursdays at 2 p.m. We talk about action movies. If you like action movies, check it out. It's called Action Movie Anatomy. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for listening. Same time, same place next week.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.